Well, at the time the pandemic hit, SnackPass's main customer base was university students, and most of the businesses that we partnered with were around universities. And it was a little bit dependent on students being on campus and being able to frequent those businesses. So when the pandemic hit and universities sent everybody home, that was obviously a very huge challenge.
So the pandemic created an influx of new merchant partnerships with Flavor as restaurants were trying to adapt to a contactless world. And this led to a sudden and massive increase in case volume and menu management for the content team. And it required us to rapidly adapt.
The pandemic drove up our volume, our customer volume. It also drove a lot of customers who were using the service for the first time as conditions changed, and so all across the state. And so that meant that sort of accurate content became even more important.
Because of the pandemic, most restaurants were forced to shut down and they would no longer be able to do dine-in. And so they all had to solely rely on online ordering for their revenue. And so we were able to scale very, very quickly because of this. And most restaurants were desperate to find a platform that would be able to cut down costs for them, but also provide them a platform to power online ordering.
The main way it shifted was just the time investment. So something that just takes a couple of minutes to complete is a very achievable daily action if you're having to do it 100 times. But then if you have to do it 1,000 times or 5,000 times or more. So obviously, once we started scaling up, the decision we made was to look for technologies that could help alleviate that volume issue from SnackPass. Before we partnered with Woflow, I had a menus team that was growing. And so I was in charge of finding those people, interviewing them, training them, and then monitoring their day-to-day work, and also monitoring a lot of very big personalities. And it just became more and more time consuming the larger the team got.
So before our partnership with Woflow, all aspects of new merchant setup and management was handled by our team manually 100%.
With the very little manpower that we did have, it was very difficult to onboard 10 plus locations per week. Now we're able to, we're at the point where we are signing up 50 plus locations per week. And we're also able to onboard and get them through the pipeline activated at the same rate as well.
The complexity of our menus actually changed pretty significantly earlier this year, which is good, right? It means that our service will improve. But, it would have been, certainly not with the size of team that we have. It's not something that would have been sustainable to sort of, without the support of Woflow, to have the team sort of build out and sort of maintain all those menus given the additional complexity.
Being able to rely on Woflow for handling larger menu build-outs has allowed us to maintain the efficient levels of menu production our team has ever produced before. And that has also freed up time on our plate to focus more on other aspects of the merchant and customer experience.
As we were starting to look and sort of why Woflow as opposed to some of the competition, I think there are definitely a lot of other people out there who are sort of offering, the ability to sort of provide this data as a service. I think most of them, a lot of them say they have a tool as well. I think as we started to dig into it, a lot of it wasn't actually a tool. It was existing technologies that they would then essentially build out to sort of exactly what you needed, but not necessarily sort of, something that they're focused on all the time. We were looking for somebody that was going to sort of, one, that it was their focus. They weren't doing, 100 other things, and this was just a service they offered. But also, one where we could sort of rely on the insight you had and the things you were doing, and sort of to open up possibilities for us for things that we could potentially support in the future.
For us, the choice to go with Woflow was pretty obvious. I mean, building and managing an in-house team is obviously a huge endeavor. Right now, I manage both customer support and menus. And the reason that I'm able to manage both departments is because of Woflow.
And even then, menu revisions, if we need to quickly update prices. Having Woflow be able to help us with that is super valuable and has really definitely helped us increase the amount of activated locations that we can achieve per week.
The best thing that I like about Woflow is that whenever we have any feedback, the team is super receptive of that feedback, and they'll make sure to whatever menu updates that need to be done in a timely manner, anything that needs to be prioritized, anything that's an urgent request, they're always on it.
And another main benefit is that, prior to Woflow, we sort of had our own definition of what industry standards were for naming conventions, modifier groups. And it wasn't until we started working with Woflow that we now are following the industry standard, for menu creation, naming conventions, optimization. And that has also helped us a ton. Not only that, but we're able to make it's more clear for the customer and the restaurant what the modifier group names should be and the naming conventions for those. And that has been a huge contributing factor to just being successful and being able to optimize the menus in a way that makes sense across all platforms and keeping them all uniform.